fans, welcome again to this ongoing episode of John Sports Corner, where he takes us deep into our community and introduce us to those who are involved and those who care so much about sports that we have to make sure that it is archived and carried on for our future generations so they know where we are coming from. So again, I say welcome. Again, I say thank you for this magnificent support you have been giving us on our platform, where again, I will say that in less than 2 years, we have in excess of 65 million views, okay, averaging over 2 million views per month, and in excess of 84,000 subscribers. Again, in excess of 1,000 subscribers per week. So I thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing. And at this time, let me turn you over to none other than inductee into the first World Cricket Hall of Fame, the greatest sportscaster and sports journalist we have in our Caribbean community, none other than the Honorable John Melbourne. And they say, over to you, John. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much, Trevor, and a very good afternoon to our friends and family out there visiting and staying with John Sports Corner on the SosoBone Media Network, the global Caribbean media capital. Now, before my special guest, Russell Thompson, Managing Director of Fraser's Whip Football Club, joins us, let me remind you to go to Winner Circle Radio Store in the SosoBone shop and go gift shopping. We have T-shirts, we have mugs, backpacks, tote bags, sorrel, and of course, the great Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee. Also new in the shop, T-shirts with John's Sports Corner and Viacon Diaz logos. And by the way, depending on what you select, the items all come with their respective logos. Family, let me bring the Managing Director of Fraser's Whip, Russell Thompson, into our conversation now by saying a hearty welcome to John's Sports Corner, Russell. How are you, Russell?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
And
Been looking forward
certainly,
to it.
thanks for taking the time, Russell, to join us on John's Sports Corner. Well, first of all, let me just ask you this question. Have you been enjoying this World Cup tournament so far?
I have, I actually was skeptical in about a month leading up. I don't know. Like, usually 4 years ago, 2018, 2022, 2014, 2010, you feel World Cup fever from January. But this year, I don't know, and I don't want to say why I didn't necessarily feel it this year. But I must say the matches have been really impressive, and they've, for the most part, all been very exciting. And I am impressed with how much the gap has closed with the so-called traditional nations and the newcomers or the not so traditional World Cup or football countries. So
I'm
loving
it. John, Russell look like a Brazil man,
Brazil, Brazil on the TV. We love football. So I'll watch every team. I want to see good football. So I'll always watch Brazil's, Argentina's, the Netherlands.
Who do you think at this point? Who do you think at this point is going to win this World Cup, Russell?
Who I think, or who I want, or who looks the most like?
No, who you think, not who you want.
If you go by the matches so far, I would say, but you also have to look at the groups that they're into. So if I look at the match so far, obviously Argentina looks dangerous, and they'll always be a threat. You have the best player in history on your team. France, you have probably the scariest player in the world on your team, Mbappe. Like me as an Argentina and a Barcelona fan, Mbappe is probably the player I would say I've most feared in my life. When you talk about like even more than playing against Ronaldo.
Right.
The only other player I really fear is like Iron Robin from Netherlands, and when he was at Bayern Munich.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
Argentina, Netherlands, their football is always beautiful, especially in the group stage. It's just that because of the type of football they play, it's easy for them to get hurt on the counter attack. But it's always beautiful football because of that total style that Johan Cruyff introduced. But yeah, but it's the World Cup, so you never know. Like the group stage, is the one side of a team. Spain, you can't ever
Yeah,
count out Spain. I
Oh,
actually
right.
think they are the best team to win. I think they'll win the World Cup. I want Argentina to win, but I think Spain is a team that will go with it.
And while I just want to kind of shift gears a little bit and ask you this, I know Hurricane Melissa ran through the mid Jamaica, Western Jamaica last year, but did that impact your club or you in any way?
Um, I would say yes because last year we firstly the league would have gotten postponed, so that's the biggest or the most notable impact of the hurricane because league was supposed to start early November, December last year, but because of the impact of the hurricane, that had to be pushed back to March this year. So you find that
Mm,
training would have been a lot of our efforts would have been shifting from preparation for the season to more the support that we can provide to our brothers and sisters in the western part of the island. Um, and then from a club standpoint, in terms of a front office standpoint, that would have impacted us because last year we'd have really been making an effort to try and secure some sponsorship to support the club
mm,
this year. So if the conversations that we're having, some of them were paused, some of them were changed, and then some of them just stopped entirely.
mm.
And so, football is life, but there's more to life than football. And like we understand that this would have had to have been diverted. So yeah. So that
Yeah.
so
Let's talk a little bit now about with our special guest, Mr. Russell Thompson, the managing director of Fraser's Web. Let's talk, Russell, and for our viewers, when was Fraser's Whip formed?
Fraser before referred to as from the 90s. And then
I think we're breaking up or something here, Trevor. Thank you, Russell. Let's talk about Fraser's Whip now for our viewers. When was the club formed? The muted? Is Russell muted? We're just hearing him clear as day. Russell, you're not, I'm not hearing you. Are you hearing me? Okay, but we're not hearing you. Once again, thank you so much, Russell. Let's talk about Fraser's Whip and when was the club formed?
Okay, so before we talk about Fraser's Whip, I should let you know that the club was actually called Fly Kickers from the 1980s. But as you know, sometimes things fade, businesses go out of business, they die a natural death. And the club was re-registered in the early 2000s, or reinvented in the early 2000s as Fraser's Whip. Yeah, and that would have so there's actually a male and a female side to the club. So that would have been the male um Premier League under 20. Well, not Premier League, but under 20, Super League, under 17, under 15, under 13. Yeah, and then because of the slow but sure growth of women's football, we'd have introduced our female team in 2013. And I mean, I'm here representing the female team. So essentially, for the women, Fraser's was formed in 2013, our women's team.
And the name Fraser's Whip,
Mhm.
to me, it's kind of unusual. How did you come up with that name?
So the team actually originates from Fraser's Content in St. Catherine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a different spelling though, but
Yeah.
that's our home base, Fraser's Content. And then the whip represents how we deal with the opponents, you know?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the club is also a non-profit organization.
Correct.
Why non-profit?
Um, the reality, it was formed as a hub or a engine for development of youth and women, So we use the
Hmm.
opportunity to help persons who, come from different social backgrounds, use football as a vehicle to get persons
Mm,
engaged in productive activities, engage in the youth. Because, football, it is a sport, but when you play a team sport, it teaches you more values than just playing the sport, teaches you
hmm.
camaraderie, teaches you discipline, motivation,
Hmm.
compassion, and understanding of strategy, composure, and self-development.
No, you says both male and female, but right now it seems as if the ladies
Mhm.
are taking center stage with the
It's
club.
not, remember, Fraser's a representation of Jamaica, So across the board, there's a woman taking center stage in football for Jamaica, I wish it was otherwise, where the men would take up the mantle as well, but that's just the space we're at right now.
Um, and do you play different age groups with the women?
No, it's just the national competition.
Just a senior team.
Yeah.
Where do you recruit players from?
So we generally recruit players island wide. Yeah.
Mm.
I would say we have some of the best scouts in the Caribbean. A team headed by our chief recruiter, Mikey, he'll go all over the island from Negril Point to St. Thomas.
Because and one of the things I want to ask you is in terms of recruiting,
Mhm.
is it only Jamaicans or you go outside of Jamaica to look for players?
Mainly Jamaica, but because of where our visions and aspirations are, we have begun looking outside of Jamaica because we compete in the Jamaican League, the Women's Premier League locally, but our aspirations are to compete at a CONCACAF level. And for us
Hmm.
to progress and really make an impact there, we have to diversify our talent pool. And it's club football, so that's how it's
Yeah.
practiced all over the world. It's just when do you reach that level where you can start looking for and identifying talent internationally as well.
Is Jamaica high school program vibrant enough to produce players that are good enough to develop from the national to international level?
Of course, if you look at our team, it's mostly high school players.
Hmm.
Most high school players. When schoolgirls football reaches the quarterfinal and semi-final stage, is basically Frasers against Frasers. We have students from all different walks, all different parts of Jamaica, from Excelsior, Camperdown, um, Homewood, like all over the island. Stats, eat it
And
dog.
and and I ask you that question, you see, because it is my opinion that the Football Federation is doing Jamaican footballers a disservice by recruiting players, overseas players, to play internationally
Mhm.
rather than working to develop our
Mm.
local players, as Simoes did years ago when he came to Jamaica. Your thoughts on this?
Um, I mean, I, I hear you and I agree to an extent, but there has to be a balance as well.
Mhm.
Um, we will always agree that the JFF can do more in terms of developing local talent. But that is also where us as the stakeholders in the local league come into play. We have to prepare our girls. We're talking about the girls, so we have to prepare our girls to be seen by the club, and we have to carry them to a particular level, not just their level of football or their talent, but their professionalism as well. Coming to training early, eating properly, taking care of your body, keeping in shape. So, I mean, we all have a part to play. Like I said, we'll all agree our federation can do more, but we also, as stakeholders in the clubs and in the local leagues, in the schools, can do a lot as well to help prepare our local talent for that level. Because you don't want it to be a case where they look for the local talent and then when you have camp, players are late, or you find that the chemistry isn't there because of of the different or conflicting styles or personalities. So I think it's a responsibility for everyone involved. And it's also our responsibility because we can say all we want about the JFF, but we also are to blame because we need to hold them more accountable. You know, we need to do more than tweeting and complaining in our WhatsApp chats. You know, if it take an army of us to go down to JFF and complain to make a difference, that's what we have to do. But so I can't just place the blame on the JFF alone. Generally, we can do more.
In
In
terms
regards
of
to the, sorry.
in terms of Fraser's Whip,
Mm-hmm.
is there an end game for the girls who play for the club in terms of maybe um, being able to further their education in college, or to get professional contracts in overseas teams?
Yes, of course. That is what we are preparing them for, essentially. Last year alone, that would have been our third title. 9 of the girls from that squad got scholarships to go to colleges in the US.
Mm.
And about 2 players otherwise would have gotten signed into other leagues globally. So that is the end goal because I mean we'd love if we could keep all our players and competing to win. And that is our objective, but at the same time, our number one objective, even more than winning, is the development of the girls and women's football locally. So we want to develop the football, but more importantly, we want to develop the girls, the talent. So, if they decide to play football, excellent. If somebody decides that, they want to go into medicine, law, physiotherapy, or business, we need to make sure that we prepare them for that because at the end of the day,
Mm.
we love football, but football isn't the be all and end all. We know we've been watching the sport for years, decades, and we know that one injury, all your dreams are gonna be
Mhm.
drained. We have to, it's our
Mhm.
responsibility to prepare them for life after football or life other than football as well. So we have a player care program. It's something that we would love for the entire league to adopt, and that is where the matters outside of football take precedent. So making sure that players are going to school, those who are in school are going to school, they're doing their work, they're attending classes, doing their exams. When like the season is over now, we are about to start preseason, but our work doesn't stop because as the season is finished, we look at the colleges that we would have approached for specific players who are eligible for college, who are in that age group now, who will be transitioning from high school. At that point, what we start doing is we create their documentation, their transcript. We'll be creating their profile. We have we have our videos that we create for them that we would send to the different schools with their package where we highlight the player and say, this is the player that we are pitching to you.
Mm.
So the work, you have the football work, and then you have the front office work, and then you have the player care work. Because I said, like the main vision, the main goal is always to develop the girls.
Mhm. Yeah, because development is one of the areas I was going to ask you about. From grassroots to national competition to international competition, and I know it takes work. And
Mhm.
as you are
And
mentioning now, that
resources.
is it's a part of the Praisers Whip program
Mhm.
to develop these young ladies, and essentially for life after football.
Mhm. And life other than football too.
Yeah.
Before you reach the after age or.
In a typical season, how many games do the ladies play during the season?
So because of the hurricane, this season was a bit more compact than previous seasons.
Mm.
So in total, from the first game to the finals, you would have had 13 games. Last season it would have been closer to about 25 games. Um, and that wouldn't have included even the knockout competition, which wasn't held this year. So anywhere between 13 and 25, but the standard is the 25 games, home and away,
Mm.
because you generally have about 13 teams in the league. I think no, 10, yeah, this yeah, 12, this season you had 12 teams in the league. So yeah.
Is that enough football though for the development of the ladies?
No, of course not. Of course not.
What about um postseason competition in terms of CONCACAF or Caribbean Football Union tournaments for the girls?
So that was actually one of the high points initially going into the season because so the winner of the Jamaica Women's Premier League, which is our premier league, our standard bearer for football for women, the winner of that league would transition into the CONCACAF Women's Champions League or CONCACAF Women's Champions Cup that they host
Mm.
every year. But for reasons beyond our control, this year it was cancelled and moved back to 2027. So initially, that's what we had in, that's where our sight and goals were at the end of this season. After we finished the Women's Premier League, we'd have started preparations for the CONCACAF season. Um, yeah, but as I said, it was cancelled this year. So we'll be looking forward to it next year and going to next season's local Premier League. That is our sight in mind.
Are the young ladies who play for the club considered professional or amateur?
They be considered amateur.
Mm. And I think you said you won three. I thought you won is your fourth title you won this year.
No, this year's fourth, but last year would have been our third title in a row. So
Oh, okay.
us winning
Okay.
last year would have qualified us for CONCACAF this year because our season last year finished too late for the winner of that season to be matriculated into the CONCACAF championship because CONCACAF would have started before our season ended to have determined the winner. So we would have been moved over to this season of CONCACAF Champions Cup because of how late our season finished last year.
What do the ladies do like now in the off season?
So now in the off season,
They're on their own.
no man, not at all. We never leave them on their own. So we actually start training next week. I don't want to give away our secrets, but we'll start training next week.
For next season?
Yeah, man. And next season starts in December. We'll start training next week. And training isn't just the football aspect of the training. It's the nutritional planning, it's the gym and core work, the the recovery, the health and recovery. So our preseason starts next season. So and it's also outside of just preparation for next season, it's also to keep the girls engaged and productive during the summer months.
And why don't more Jamaica Premier League clubs have a female arm to the club?
Um, I mean, I can't speak for the other clubs. I can only speak for our goals and objectives. And as I
Yeah, yeah.
mentioned, ours is to develop the young women in Jamaica and to help grow women's football.
And as you said, you just won the fourth title, but it seemed as if last season there was a lot higher competition during the season for the club.
No, I wouldn't say that because, well, I'll ask you why you said that, but I can tell you I don't think the competition this season for us was tougher. Because if you look
Yeah.
at the score lines, Fraser is known for dropping the like 10 love first is a smart, 10 love first. If we dropped 10 love in a match last season, the girls vex, everybody vex. It was almost like we lose. This season, we had to fight. We had to fight this season. Yeah,
Mhm.
we had to fight. I mean, you still would have seen some wide margins of victory, but you'll find some matches. Like I remember we went to play Los P at Brooks Park in Manchester in the rain. You know, they
Yeah,
talk about a cold night in Stoke.
yeah,
Come on, imagine playing an opponent at their home field in the rain. You know, they went up 1-0 in that game and we had to fight back, claw and fight back 2-1. You know,
yeah.
this
Uh,
season, the league every season gets more competitive.
yeah, that's what I'm pointing to. That it seems as if teams are beginning to pick up now, other than Fraser's with just running away with the competition.
Mhm. You know, and it's good for the league.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think from the outside that yeah, we want to run away with it, but at the end of the day, our what we have in our sights, is the international tournaments and international competitions. So we need a league that will test us and push us, and we need to push the other clubs in the league because if it's not us representing Jamaica, another club will do it, and we have to make sure that we push them. So we put the best team forward to represent Jamaican football. So the competition is always welcome.
Right.
You want it?
How many players from your club play with the national team now?
How many players from our club play with the Reggae Girls? Currently, I would say we have 3 in the program. We have 3 in the national squad. So even for the recent
Mm,
Panama tour, we had 3 of our girls representing the Reggae Girls.
mm. I know one of the prevailing drawbacks for sports in Jamaica is a lack of corporate sponsorship. Is
Mm-hmm.
that also a bug for Fraser's Whip?
Yes, man. Yeah, funding is challenging, but we're trying, and even for the upcoming season, which is 6 months away, we've already started taking meetings and reaching out to potential sponsors. Um, and I will tell you, the conversations that we've had in the last 2 weeks have been a lot easier than conversations we're even trying to have in January or October last year. Like
Mm,
barring the hurricane, like is when you consider 3 major things: the awareness of our local league, the impact of Bonnie Shaw.
mm-hmm,
She's been in the media a lot. And you can say she's now the highest paid women's footballer in the world, or in England, I believe.
mm-hmm,
And being Jamaican helps so much. It just
mm-hmm,
just Bunny's dominance in England, automatically eyes are coming to Jamaica. People want to see the next Bunny Shaw. What other talents are there in Jamaica? They say how fast and strong Bunny is, but they're like, okay, so speed comes from Jamaica. Let's see what wingers we can find from Jamaica then.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, so it helps us a lot. And then the third thing, obviously, the World Cup. It's the men's World Cup, but football is football. And then
mm-hmm.
the next Women's World Cup will be next year in Brazil. And I can guarantee you that will be the biggest Women's World Cup in history. And
Mm-hmm.
women's football has been growing steadily, but over the last 2 years, you've been seeing a lot more rapid growth taking place. And I guarantee you the growth will ramp up even more after the Women's World Cup next year. And then considering, I'm not sure if you know, but Jamaica, Costa Rica,
2031.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Jamaica, Costa Rica, and the USA, we have a joint bid. We'll be hosting the Women's World Cup in
Yeah, man.
2031.
I'm very aware of it.
Yeah, man. So you know that there's women's football is only going up. So we need to maintain our performance. We need to make sure that we're on the train for
and,
2031.
and, and that is why I thought I always focus on development,
Mm.
because looking ahead to 2031, when it comes down to quarterfinal, semifinal, you want to be in that picture, and to get there
Mhm.
is how you approach it now.
Yeah, exactly.
The now development
Mhm.
process.
Agreed. 100%. 100%.
And while we talk about the corporate sponsorship and financing, is it businesses are still not looking at our sports, football, as a professional sport, and they still have that amateur thing in their head, and don't think football is an avenue for folks to to earn a living.
So it's a tricky question because I would say yes and no, because I still think that corporate Jamaica can do a lot more. And I'm not just
Mhm.
talking about the companies that consistently sponsor football locally. I'm talking about the other companies that have their big budgets that if if a big international artist was to come on Saturday, they'd find the money to sponsor it, even though they know they're getting nothing back from it. There's no KPI. You get me?
Mhm.
That they can
Mhm.
justifiably point to sponsoring that event, they'll sponsor. But when you ask them, when you reach out to them for football, whether male or female, the budget tight or is after budget period or
Yeah, yeah.
but if it's their favorite singer coming to Jamaica, you'd say, oh, quick, even if it's just for VIP tickets. But there are some companies that do consistently support football. The men's
Mhm.
football does get a lot more support than the women's football. So you have companies that really do. Example, when Messi came to Jamaica, they were playing Cavaliers in the men's CONCACAF Champions Cup. And within
Mhm.
the space of a week, I wouldn't be surprised if Cavaliers raised 20, $30 million in sponsorship alone. And I'm sure
Yeah,
many
yeah,
clubs,
yeah,
if the
yeah,
league, if the entire league with all the clubs got 20, $30 million, you you'd see the difference in quality. So
yeah.
it's there and the interest is there and the belief is there and understanding is there that football is a viable avenue for revenue.
And that I find interesting too, Russell. There's a business house competition,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
I would think that more of those businesses, corporations
Mm-hmm.
would have some kind of budget
Even
for
some of those who
football.
participate in business house,
Yeah,
you surprised some of them who participate in business house
yeah.
are probably not even very willing to sponsor the football. So it's a very tricky and strange dynamic.
Um.
But I will add an additional point. Um, I mentioned that the conversations have been a lot easier with corporate Jamaica since our last win in the championship in the league. Um, I think it also has to do with the quality of the league. If you
Mm,
look on YouTube, I don't know if you saw the finals, but if you
mm,
look at the finals, the crowd size for the finals last year at Ashenheim Park at JC versus the
mm,
crowd this year in Arnett Gardens, we played Arnett Gardens in the final at Arnett
mm,
Gardens, which we had an
mm.
issue with, but we say, you know what? We have to do what champions do. You
You,
know?
you, in the- you're into the Lions Den.
Yeah. And if you look in the crowd, when you
Yeah.
look at the crowd, halftime, a little after halftime, when you look at the crowd, that entire portion of the stadium was filled with pink. Well, no, but
Yeah.
Arnett. And the
Yeah.
crowd that we had this year was about 5 or 6 times the crowd of last year.
Mm,
The football is growing, the interest is growing, and the quality of the game has a major impact on that. And it does help. I remember talking to my dad and he was watching the match and he was shocked because
mm.
10 years ago you talk about women's football, it's similar to karate, the kung fu. You hear the name from the 80s, fly kickers.
Yeah, yeah.
But now when you look at the vision, the tactics, the ball movement, I mean, some people say that Jamaican women's football is more palatable than the men's football. When you look at the
Mm,
Reggae Girls, I remember going to the match at Stadium recently, and a friend of mine, his mom went to the match and says the first time in years she go Stadium and leave happy.
mm,
So I mean that little things like that, you know.
mm.
But we, as I
How
said,
many how
we
many players will you lose next year from this year's team?
from this year's team, that's a 3 to 5, three to
Mm,
five players, yeah. Because one of the things we are also looking at, we know that the awareness and opportunity um is more likely to happen when you're in the US.
mm,
we also have to be realistic. Not everybody will get called to a Division 1 or a Division 2 college. So we also have to look at, we're currently looking at the possibility of our local universities as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't
Mm-hmm.
discount the value of a local education and supporting the local development as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because UTech, they're just as good as any college or university, you know, and it does help our
Michael doesn't have a team in the league.
in the Women's Premier League,
Yeah.
not the Premier League, but they have a collegiate team,
Oh,
the
okay.
collegiate team. But UE has a Premier League team.
Right, right.
Yeah. But wouldn't Fraser's girls wouldn't play for UFC. They'll play for University of the West Indies in the collegiate league, but not their club team. But yeah, so we have to look at the local schools as well because it also will help us in terms of the level of support that we can give because we can support, but only to a certain extent when they're abroad. Because
Mm-hmm.
even more so than the phone calls and sending money up. You have to sometimes, your physical presence, them seeing you, they're going into some states where they don't know anybody. They're probably the only girls that look like them, you don't have
Yeah.
much girls that look like them. So, coming to school in Jamaica and having somebody you can talk to, people who look like you, somebody you can relate to, somebody you can even just hug.
The,
Because, you're
the
leaving
culture shock of going abroad.
exactly, yeah. So I
What
think there
what
is benefit.
what is your coaches what is the coaching staff like for Fraser's Whip?
Okay, so we have the coaching staff or the management team. You want to have an idea of the
The
management
the
structure?
the, the coaching staff.
Okay, so the coaching staff, we have our head coach. We have our medical officer. We have our physiotherapist. We have our kit manager. We have our team manager. We have an assistant coach.
No psychologist.
There's a team psychologist because it's a coaching staff. So I'm thinking about who's
Yeah,
on the bench on game day, but you have a team
yeah.
psychologist. Yeah, man.
Yeah. How important is a psychologist to the makeup of the team?
Extremely important. Extremely important. We have a sports psychologist and we have a team psychologist separately.
Mm,
As I said, they wouldn't necessarily be on the bench, but
hmm
sports psychologists, they would help you in terms of, a lot of the anxiety that comes along with playing professional football, playing in front of persons, um, understanding the team dynamics, different personalities coming together, how you work with it, because we're humans. Not everybody has the same point of view. Not everybody approaches issues the same. Not everybody identifies or is willing to identify a solution the same way. So the
Yeah,
sports psychology is a very important element. And then also you look at the general psychology. Um, you have different individuals coming from different backgrounds. I
right.
I might be socialized a different way from someone else. And um, the reality is you don't know what baggage persons are leaving behind when they come to training.
Mm,
You don't know what they're going
hmm
after training. So that is something that we have to make available to the players so that if they need something to unwind, if they need to unburden themselves, we have to make sure as the guys, because once they leave home, they're our responsibility. And your
hmm
parents will be your parents, but you're leaving your home to come into essentially our home, which is training.
Yeah.
You leave your house, you're the responsibility of Fraser's, you know. So we have to make sure that we have the mechanisms in place to best support the girls in whatever aspect of their development, whether it is mental, emotional, physical, or in the sport.
I'm talking with Russell Thompson, managing director of Fraser's Whip. And Russell, in my day, we showed up for a game, and the coach would probably go through some stuff with us, pre-game instructions.
Yeah.
In today's game, that has changed.
Mhm.
What are the pre-game preparations like for Fraser's Whip?
Mhm. All right, I'm careful how I word this, you know, 'cause I don't want, as I said, I don't want to divulge everything, you know, because you might hear the reggae boy
No,
start
no,
using
no,
it too.
no,
That's
just
not
no, just
No,
some
yeah,
basic
man, no,
thing.
man, no,
Yeah.
man. You're good, you're good. All right, so our pre-game preparation starts even before game day.
Mm,
We look at each game individually. So don't approach each team the same. And we have our style of play, our strategy, but that alone isn't enough, you know. So the pre-game strategy starts from the week of the game, essentially, because so we look at each game individually. So we know that we're playing a highly defensive team. We look at the tape, we look at how they play, we look at how we can create holes in that defense. We can look at how we exploit their frailties or their vulnerabilities. Um, we Depending on, as I said, the game as well and the magnitude of the game. If we have to
yeah,
do recovery in the week, we do recovery. If we have to watch tape, we'll watch tape and we'll go through. If we have to change up the team based on whose strengths, complement the team better based on who our opponent is for that particular week. That's what we just have to do. Um, Meal preparation, we know that, okay. In the earlier rounds, we don't necessarily um, give you a plethora of meals during and after training. But during the season now, where nutrition is key, we provide whether it be snacks or something to top the girls up after training, help rebuild muscle, help them recover. Um, Game day, we have physio coming in, we have the massages being done on the day, taping, the team talk. We have our strategy, we go through our final discussions with the team. And yeah, but it's about keeping a clear mind. Example, the final. A big thing for us was we had to camp the night before the final.
mm,
If there's one game for the entire, if it's just one time you need everybody to have a clear head,
yeah,
is for the final. If there's one game, you need to make sure everybody has a clear head because you don't know what's happening in everybody's environment. So the best thing to do
mm,
is have everybody together, have a team gelling, just enjoying everybody's company, watch some tape. We'll continuously work on our camaraderie. So this year for the finals, we made sure to have a camp the night before. So everybody was together. The only thing on everybody's mind was the final. No stress, no drama, you know?
yeah. So where do you camp like that?
So we usually there's different options. Sometimes we do it at our home field. Night before the finals we camped at UA.
Okay.
Yeah, we camped at UA. Just our own little space. Somewhere different for the girls, a different environment.
Hmm.
You know, and yeah, it was good. It was good. I had somewhere we watched tape, we had dinner, at breakfast. And then we would have left from UA and headed to the game. Um,
But I tell you something, Russell, it's amazing how the game has changed. As I say, and the preparation.
mhm.
Um, and deliberately asked you about a coaching staff because in my day, it was just a coach and my club captain who you would see get together and knock heads.
Yeah.
Of course, my club captain at that time was Mutty Scott. So,
Okay.
you know, Mutty and Coach Duncan would get together and you see them knocking heads and talking strategy. And then that was it.
Hmm.
Um, Pre-game camp for a final. Uh-uh. You leave from your home.
Yeah, no man, couldn't. Right.
You know,
No man, all of us.
those things never happen.
Yeah, man, all for one, one for all. I have to.
And that is why I say if the thinking is still very amateur in Jamaica and business is not thinking about, football is a professional sport, and there is money that can be made from it if you handle it properly.
Hmm. A lot of money. A
Are
lot
the
of money.
ladies subject to drug testing?
Not. It's not. It's not a requirement for the league.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, it's just not. I don't think it's a mandatory requirement for the league.
And do you have any input as to the 11 that takes the field for a game? Or that's just the coaching staff's duty?
So I want to tell you, and I'm actually even more proud to say this than even being a manager. Well, remember when I mentioned I laid out the coaching staff? I am actually the assistant coach, de facto assistant coach. So I have a little
Okay.
impact, but not in my capacity as managing director. I don't overstep like that. There's a reason why I have a coach. If I wanted to um um make my input, then I
Mm,
would have been on the coaching staff. But as a unofficial assistant coach, so you'll see me on
yeah,
the bench. If you look at the games from last season, you'll see me on the bench.
yeah. Right, right.
Because at the end of the day, like I'm passionate about football, you're passionate about the girls and seeing them do well, like outside of even winning, just seeing them within themselves feel like they would have accomplished something. Uh,
Mm,
you're there with them in training. Sometimes I would lace up and train with them, So being on the bench for me is mandatory because, they're out on the field giving it everything. And if I could have been out there with them, I'd be out there with them. So the next best thing, I have to be on the bench trying to encourage and motivate them. Sometimes, even the coach, he just wants a second opinion. He might
mm-hmm,
be looking at something specific and then I see another detail of the game that we can improve.
mm-hmm.
I mean, we can't send the girls in the fire if we're not willing to jump in there with them.
How different is it from your experience coaching girls as opposed to boys, or ladies as opposed to men?
So remember, this is my first stint as a coach per se, but from what I
Okay.
can tell, and even playing football myself in high school, um, trust me, it's completely different. The gap couldn't be wider in terms of how different it is. Um, you know,
You can give any examples?
um,
Is
firstly,
it like the emotion, the girls are more emotional
I
than
I
guys?
want to tell you, like, I mean, you have emotions, but I wouldn't say the emotion is really where the difference comes in. The
Mm,
first thing is the discipline.
mm,
The discipline. The discipline for me is the most notable difference. The following instructions, um, you find that for girls, they communicate a lot better. If somebody is going to be late for training, you know who will be late for training. If somebody can't attend training, you know prior to you don't just show up at training and you're supposed to have a training with 22 people and you see four people come and don't know what happened.
mm.
So the communication, the discipline, um, you find that what's the word? The bravado that you would see sometimes, you don't find that with women, when I start like if you come to a training session, you come to a match, until you watch the game, and it depends on what style of football you prefer, you would know who's a
Mhm.
quote unquote star baller.
Mm,
At Fraser's, we played the semifinals against Real Mona. The first semifinal, the MVP of the game was our right back. The
mm,
second semifinal, the MVP was the left back. Right?
mm,
The final, the MVP of the game was our midfielder. Scored 2 goals in the final. Don't score all season.
mm.
And you show up in the finals. Our player of the
Yeah.
season was our captain, who's our um central defensive midfielder and centre back. Played centre back in the final. But that was our
Mm,
player of the season. Our leading goal scorer was our false nine striker. Our second
mhm,
goal
mhm,
scorer was our
mhm.
left. For a lot of people, the MVP of the first semifinal and the final was our right winger, who is 14 years old. So it
Yeah.
just depends on what you look for and the type of football that you appreciate.
Mm,
But as I said, like, so you have 11 different players who could be an MVP at any given time. But the difference with the male and the female football, you can't you you know who a star is. From you go a football match, a man football match, you know who the star is, and you know who think them is the star. Wrong, am I wrong or am I right?
yeah.
Just for how them walk out on the field.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who think them is a star. So like I said, the humility is different. The bravado or lack of bravado is different. The discipline.
Mm,
Um, Also there's also a big difference in terms of how you interact with them as well, which you have to understand because, with women and girls, as a male and management, you also have to understand boundaries.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
example,
yeah,
we camp the night before the finals, but the coaching staff would have gone home. We had our team manager, who is a woman, who would have stayed on camp. If it was a male team, all of us would have stayed and camped over. But you have to understand what's appropriate and what's not appropriate and understand
yeah,
the boundaries.
yeah.
So there's a difference there as well in terms of how you interact with them.
Mm,
And that's something you have to understand and appreciate. So with males versus females, because I said, like, we can't send them in the fire and not be willing to go in the fire. So I mean, ideally you'd have loved to, you're camping, you love everybody camp, but you just have to understand that it's not appropriate in this kind of scenario.
yeah, yeah.
So there are a multitude of differences.
Mm.
Yeah.
Professor, any questions or tips for Mr. Russell?
Well, I'm listening intently to and analyzing the position of women's soccer in Jamaica because we talk about Bunny Shaw on a regular basis, okay, based on her visibility, and typically we do not have much visibility about women's soccer in Jamaica. When I was going to school in Titchfield in the good old days, there was no women's team, period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
the idea of women's soccer being now a very visible part
Mm-hmm.
is not it is not there. I say that when I think in terms of the student associations that we have in the US, in Canada, in the UK. And I will ask the question, how many of them really support women's soccer in Jamaica?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We think in terms of them doing scholarships, of them putting in, science labs,
Mm-hmm.
and all the other things that, that rotates around education.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to looking
And
at,
track as a sport, track in Jamaica, we'd say.
yes, track, and that's because of ISA, okay, and the J3As.
Mm-hmm.
And we said that we would wish that Jamaica had a foundation for soccer like the J3As,
Mm-hmm.
okay, where it is very, very visible, well promoted. So coming to Penn Relays is something that everybody wants to do. That is
Mm-hmm.
in track and field, okay,
Mm-hmm.
because we have the same problem that we say the women's soccer have with cricket,
Mm-hmm.
where we gone from about 70, 80 schools that were used to play cricket to about 30 schools now that are actually playing cricket. So we ask, what type of support really is entrenched in the system where we can look at the student associations and they can tell you that they're actually supporting women's soccer. I don't see any of them that comes to our table to talk about the fact that they're raising funds for the support of women's soccer. We just had a conference in Jamaica, Diaspora Conference, 14th of June to the 18th of June. Was anyone there from the Women's Soccer League who talk about the needs that they might have and the support that they might be looking for, asking the diaspora to do so that women's soccer can evolve? Okay? We see all the companies down there that have needs, and their needs is based on the money they want from the diaspora. Products they have to sell, investments they want, housing developments, all the various plans that they have to do things in Jamaica. And they come to the conference and they're making presentations to the delegates who are there, hoping it would mushroom back into our diaspora. We didn't see anyone that talk about sports support, sports needs, or sports development. Okay? So, and I raise it because I'm not only raising it because we're talking about women's soccer. I raise this when it comes to cricket, soccer, whether or not we are building the grassroots level from primary school, high school, okay, whether it is a part of the sports ministry, because I like to call out my friend, the Honorable Minister of Sports and Culture, Bobsy Grange. that, okay, you get as much money as the guy get for agriculture in your ministry, as the guy get for tourism, as they get for education. I think all the ministers pretty much get the same amount of money they want. They're not going to sit there and have somebody getting more money than them and outperforming them because they got more money. So the question is, how can I hold them accountable for not supporting the development of women's soccer when women's soccer, as we say, is right now developing faster than men's soccer? Okay? When you look at the type of crowds they are drawing, US women's soccer and other places, well received. Okay? So I would just like to say that from listening, I know that this is one of the things that we have to, from our platform, add it to our list of grievances. You know, John have introduced these young ladies who like to do what they do in the water, John?
Oh, synchronized swimming.
Synchronized swimming. Okay. Then we have Netball Jamaica, Sunshine Girls. Then we have women's gymnastics. All of them are going through this lack of support. And now when I say lack of support, because I'm sitting in the diaspora, I'm saying lack of support from the diaspora. Because they are not visible in the diaspora that these things are actually functioning, elevating our people, and they need support. We are not hearing about fundraisers to support those channels. Okay. And so I am happy to listen to what you have to say and about the integral development that is taking place. Because hopefully, when we put this publication out, it might be, the ripple effect is that it might it might awake some people that there's other things, that actually is as important. Okay? Not less important. Is as important.
Yeah.
Okay? That they might be able to turn their attention to and give some support to. Okay? Yeah. That is how I quietly listen to what the state of women's soccer is as you are able to put it out in relations to your club.
Yeah.
And for that, I thank you.
Yeah. I appreciate it. And I mean, I had to write something down a while ago when you mentioned the diaspora conference. Because that is an excellent idea to garner support from the diaspora. Like, I mean, you can appeal on social media as much as you want, but when you actually look at the granular fundraising tactics, the diaspora is ideal because it's working for businesses. When businesses want to expand outside of Jamaica, they want to start exporting, when they want to start scaling, they go to the diaspora conference to introduce themselves or reintroduce themselves to the international market or to the Jamaicans abroad. You know? So I mean, like hearing that, I had to write it down while I was looking for, while you're talking, I was looking for a piece of paper and pencil, and so I mean to remember the one thing the diaspora conference is biannually. So I have to wait till 2028 now. But I mean, it's really something that we should seriously consider, because that is how we're going to reach the Jamaican community outside of Jamaica.
Yeah, but you still don't have to wait.
No, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait.
Because every diaspora community now has a diaspora representative that represents the Northeast, for example, in the US, represent the Southeast in the US, and represent the Midwest. You have the same type of representation in Canada, in the UK, and some of the other smaller diasporas. So reaching out to them, okay, and sometimes they have leadership conferences within their own division, where members can get, or even they also do Zooms, okay, where you can ask them when they're having their Zoom gathering, okay, to actually introduce a subject that you like the diaspora to pay some attention to, okay? Because they do it for real estate, they do it for people who are doing insurance, and and listen, we have a diaspora minister down there, Terry Long, okay? He integrates himself with the diaspora because he's supposed to represent the diaspora.
Oh, so
Bringing
with you guys up, he's in the US.
Orlando Turlong is the minister for the diaspora in Jamaica.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, no. Okay, no, you mean locally. Okay.
Yes.
No,
He-
I thought you're saying Terry Long, as in I thought you're saying his name is Terry Long, but you're talking about Orlando Terry Long, the minister,
Yes.
the state
Okay.
minister. Okay, yeah, man.
So,
Right,
and,
okay, yeah.
and his responsibility is not a one-way responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not about him just trying to get what he can get from the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
It's about what he can introduce to the diaspora.
Yeah, and what you can do for the diaspora as well.
Because while we have delegates over here, he is the feet on the ground down there.
Yeah.
Okay? So I would encourage that also be one of the initiative that is taken. And I like to include these things in our discussions, because we are going to be pushing out this to our diaspora world. Okay? So this discussion, as I said, the ripple effect is as it falls into the water, the ripple starts going out. Okay? And someone is going to pick up on it at a certain point and open the floodgate. So again, I say I thank you for being able to update our community and our diaspora, on an opportunity. Okay?
Yeah.
On an opportunity to support the development of women's soccer in Jamaica. I have had relationship with Jetty, when he was running the club in St. Thomas, he was at Carter Park in Port Antonio, again with other clubs, Jack and Robbie, and we used to bring up teams in men's team in the summer to New York for Caribbean Cup soccer.
Yeah.
Okay. And we got teams, and we used to get, players from the different teams on there, Harborview, boys, different, the general, different guys used to come up.
Yeah.
Okay. But then John was a part of that, background, before COVID came and knocked us everything to earth.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm saying is that the diaspora is not unconscious of Premier League soccer in Jamaica. Because people like John used to play for Cavaliers and he talk about it every day. I get tired of it sometimes. But what I'm talking about today is women's soccer.
Yeah.
Okay? And the fact that you have exposed us to some of the issues and some of the needs. Okay? And yes, I know that sponsorship is a tough nut down there because when it comes to Jamaican business, because even in our diaspora, they don't support us a lot in the diaspora either. They appeal to us. But when you come to radio programs, they don't advertise on our radio programs and the products that they have or service that they have. They don't. They do not spend money to market unless they're marketing to a non-Jamaican market like the tourist board does. Okay? They spend a lot of money in China or in Japan or in Korea. But you do not hear tourist board advertisement on Winner Circle sports program, on Grooving Radio sports program, on Reggae Vonage sports program. You can listen for a year and you never know that they want diaspora to come back to Jamaica as tourists. And that's just an example. Okay? Because the other companies, the Victor Mutuals and the Jamaican Nationals and the Grace and all those people, they take the diaspora for granted. They know we support Jamaica, therefore they don't have to spend any money promoting themselves on the platforms that we have put in place to promote them. Okay? This SosoBone Media Network, whether they like it or not, we are going to promote them either positively or negatively. So did I say thank you for your presence.
But before you go, Russell, quick question. Do the sportswear giants support like your club or football in Jamaica?
I mean, so From a club level, I would say no, because so the league itself is sponsored by Hummel. But that's between the league and Hummel.
JFF, yeah.
I don't even know if it's JFF or more the JWPL.
Okay.
But so like our gears would be Hummel gears.
Mm.
But I mean, as you can imagine, a club's needs stretch far beyond. So
Yeah.
the equity and the advertising that so the league sponsors would get out of the league, but we as a clubs we have to seek our own sponsorship.
Mm.
In our case, a lot of times we'll get product sponsors, but from a corporate standpoint, the only consistent financier or sponsor we've had is New Brand Construction.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's because New Brand, Mr. James Agadisha is a director of the club.
Well, you can talk about the companies that support
And
mention them.
New Brand Construction, from inception, face marketing, then you'd have sponsors who come in and give us a helping hand here and there. We have one and two restaurants that would provide food for us occasionally, just because they say and like what we're doing.
Yeah.
Wisinco would have given us some products. So creative when we're doing our watching tape, so creative would provide the TV for us,
Mm.
They'd provide a big screen TV for us to meet together as a group and watch. So it's a long road, but we're here for the fight, and
That you mentioned, I just want to quickly say something to you. I remember when I played a little bit of football in Jamaica. Before a season started, the coach would bring in a referee to couple of our practices, and they go through different scenarios and would then ask us, what is the referee's call? And then the referee would tell us whether we wrong or right, and if we're wrong, he tell us why we were wrong based on the rules. So a lot of that, we are kind of a little bit more educated into the rules of the game or how a referee sees the game.
And your conduct during the game as a team.
As a team, you're not maybe don't go after a referee sometimes when you think the call is going against you.
I mean, I want to tell you, even the scenario you just shared, the team will know all the rules and the referee explain everything, and then the next match, them still go after the referee. I mean, it's like, in 1 year out order. Sometimes, the game or the passion of the
That's
game.
true too,
Well,
You're not supposed to have to rush after a player, but you do it. You argue with the referee. You're not supposed to, but just the adrenaline sometimes.
There's a reason why you have three lights,
Yeah.
Green light, yellow card, and red card.
Well, Russell Thompson, Managing Director of Fraser's Whip, on behalf of John Sports Corner, SosoBone Media Platform, and of course our listeners and viewers, please extend our well wishes to the chairman, Wayne Gradishaw.
Yeah.
I think your coach, Courtney Dowdy.
Yeah.
And my first contact who put me in touch with all you guys was Miss Bridget Riley.
Okay, amazing.
Thank you so much, and certainly best of luck going forward. And I'm sure we will be having more conversations in the future.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I'm also grateful for this opportunity to share about the club and
I'm just gonna ask you to do one thing before you leave. Give out your email contact information in case someone would like to contact you to make a donation or a sponsorship. Granted that you have a non-profit organization, which again, John being a tax accountant among other things, he might have some clients who can make a nice donation and take it off their tax report.
Yeah. Okay, so it's fraserswhip@gmail.com, but we're mostly active on Instagram, so you can always find us on Instagram. That's Fraserswhip on Instagram, FRAZSIERS WHIP, Fraser's Whip.
Okay.
Man.
Yes, sir. Again, thank you so much, Russell.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to future conversations. And I mean, whenever you guys coming back, you should come to one of the games or the training sessions,
Yeah.